There's a place in space so cold that it makes the vacuum between stars feel like a summer day, and nothing will ever warm it up again. Space is already the most hostile environment imaginable. But scattered throughout the cosmos are regions so extreme and isolated that they redefine what it means to be alone in the universe. These aren't the glamorous nebulae you see in pretty pictures or the massive galaxies that dominate astronomy documentaries. These are the forgotten corners of reality where cold and emptiness reach levels that seem impossible. And some of these places are so bizarre that scientists still struggle to explain how they exist. Let me introduce you to the Boomerang Nebula, and it holds a record that will never be broken naturally. This cloud of gas and dust, located thousands of light years away, is the coldest known place in the entire universe. Its temperature is colder than the cosmic microwave background radiation that fills all of space. Think about that for a moment. The universe has a baseline temperature left over from the Big Bang, and this nebula is actually colder than that baseline. It's colder than the empty void between galaxies. It's colder than anything nature produces anywhere else in the cosmos. How does something become colder than empty space itself? The Boomerang Nebula is created by a dying star that's ejecting its outer layers at tremendous speeds. As this gas expands outward, it cools down through a process that's similar to what makes compressed air cold when it's released from a spray can. The gas is expanding so rapidly that it's cooling faster than the cosmic microwave background can warm it up. The result is a ghostly cloud, where atoms barely move, where even helium would freeze solid, and where the laws of thermodynamics create something that shouldn't exist naturally.
But cold isn't the only way space can be extreme. Let's talk about loneliness on a scale that's hard to comprehend. Imagine being so far from anything that the nearest galaxy is tens of millions of light years away. Welcome to the cosmic voids. These are enormous regions of space that contain almost nothing. No galaxies, no stars, no planets, just darkness and distance stretching in every direction. The largest void we've discovered is so vast that if you were somehow placed in its center, the nearest galaxy would be so far away that it would appear as nothing more than a faint smudge, even through the most powerful telescope. Light from that distant galaxy would take longer to reach you than complex life has existed on Earth. You would be floating in a sea of emptiness so profound that the entire observable universe around you would appear almost empty. These voids aren't just empty by accident. They're regions where the cosmic web of dark matter never formed dense structures, so normal matter never collected to form galaxies and stars. Now let me tell you about rogue planets, and these wanderers represent loneliness of a different kind. These are worlds that were either ejected from their solar systems or formed in isolation, never orbiting a star at all. They drift through interstellar space in complete darkness. No sunrise will ever warm their surfaces. No star will ever light their skies. They're frozen tomb-like worlds, wandering the galaxy in perpetual night.
Some of these rogue planets might have started as normal worlds with atmospheres, and possibly even liquid water heated by their parent star. But after being flung into deep space through gravitational interactions, they froze solid within thousands of years. Any oceans turned to ice kilometers thick, any atmospheres condensed and fell as snow. These planets are time capsules of planetary death, drifting silently through the void, with surfaces so cold that most chemicals become solid as rock. But rogue planets at least move through regions where distant stars provide some faint light. There are places even more isolated. At the outer edges of our solar system, beyond the orbit of Neptune, lies the Oort Cloud. This is a spherical shell of icy objects surrounding our entire solar system, extending halfway to the nearest star. Objects in the Oort Cloud receive so little sunlight that they're barely warmer than the cosmic background temperature. They orbit so slowly that they take millions of years to complete a single trip around the Sun. Imagine existing on one of these frozen bodies. The Sun would appear as nothing more than a slightly brighter star, offering no warmth and barely any light. The Earth would be completely invisible. You would be technically part of our solar system, but so far removed that you might as well be in interstellar space. The loneliness would be
absolute. These icy worlds have probably never been visited by anything in the entire history of the solar system. They float in darkness and cold, waiting for the rare gravitational perturbation that might send them falling toward the inner solar system as comets. Then there are the molecular clouds, and these are the cosmic refrigerators where new stars haven't formed yet. These dark nebulae are so dense that they block out all light from stars behind them, creating patches of absolute darkness against the backdrop of space. Inside these clouds, temperatures drop to just a few degrees above absolute zero. The gas is so cold that molecules can form and survive, creating complex chemistry in an environment colder than anywhere on Earth. The strangest thing about these molecular clouds is that they're simultaneously the coldest places in the galaxy and the wombs where hot new stars will eventually be born. Right now, scattered throughout our galaxy, there are clouds where the temperature is almost at absolute zero, where matter barely moves, and where silence reigns. But given enough time, gravity will compress parts of these clouds until they become so dense that nuclear fusion ignites, creating stars that burn at millions of degrees. From the coldest cold to the hottest heat, all in the same location. But perhaps the loneliest fate awaits in the far future of the universe. As the cosmos continues expanding, galaxies are moving away from each other faster and faster. Eventually, billions of years from now, the expansion will accelerate to the point where distant galaxies disappear beyond our cosmic horizon. Any civilization that evolves in the far future will look up at a night sky and see only the stars in their own galaxy.
The rest of the universe will have receded so far that its light can never reach them. They'll be alone in an island of matter surrounded by an eternal void. Even their own galaxy won't last forever. Stars will eventually burn out one by one. The last stars will be dim red dwarfs that barely glow, taking trillions of years to exhaust their fuel. After they die, the galaxy will go dark. Any remaining planets will orbit dead stars or wander as rogues through a galaxy that's nothing but black holes, neutron stars, and cold stellar remnants. The temperature will continue to drop, approaching absolute zero as the universe expands and dilutes its energy. This is the heat death of the universe, and it represents the ultimate cold and ultimate loneliness. Some objects are already previewing this distant future. Brown dwarfs are failed stars that never gathered enough mass to ignite fusion. They glow faintly from leftover heat, but grow colder over time. The oldest brown dwarfs have cooled to temperatures where they're barely warmer than a human body. Give them enough time, and they'll cool to near absolute zero, becoming invisible, frozen spheres drifting through space. The universe is filled with these extreme environments, places where cold reaches its physical limits, places where isolation is so complete that calling them lonely feels inadequate. We focus on the bright, active regions of space, where stars are born and galaxies collide, but the vast majority of the cosmos is dark, quiet, and freezing. For every brilliant nebula, there are thousands of cold molecular clouds. For every vibrant galaxy, there are vast voids containing almost nothing.
These coldest and loneliest places remind us that the universe is not designed for comfort or company. Space is fundamentally hostile, and the natural state of the cosmos is cold, dark, and empty. The warm, bright regions where life can exist are rare exceptions. We live in a bubble of warmth and light, surrounded by an infinity of darkness. The next time you feel alone, remember that there are frozen worlds drifting between the stars that have never known warmth. There are voids where the nearest neighbor is farther away than your mind can comprehend. And there are clouds of gas so cold that atoms barely vibrate, existing in a twilight between motion and absolute stillness. Space isn't just the final frontier. It's the coldest, loneliest place that exists, and the universe has plenty of corners where the isolation is so profound that even light seems reluctant to visit.